Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 2. How are you guys doing? Hope everybody's doing well. Michael Stacking, Amy, Harold, G Dub, Farm Dog, Metal Matt, Grand Fog, Dog World. Thank you guys for coming in. Good evening, Tiger. How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay, Frosty. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. Good day. Busy day, but good day.
Understood. I went to bed a little earlier so I could be ready for this. I was up all day the night before doing videos. So, you know how that goes.
Oh, all too well. I put out a bunch of shorts, so I'll be putting some out next couple days. Hopefully, we get some good views. AZ Coins is in the house. What's up, AZ? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're
Hey
doing well.
everyone. Hi Amy. Hi baby. Hopefully she's still here.
I'm glad people know you're talking to her and not me.
Oh, I wasn't talking to you?
Oh, I hope everybody's doing good. Well, hey, Tiger, did you happen to hear what happened in the news today?
No, I didn't. I was hitting the videos. What's going on?
All right, want to try that again?
Yo, oh, I didn't know. Okay, sorry. Getting used to
Ah,
things. Go ahead.
growing pains, growing pains. Hey, Tiger, did you hear about what was in the news today? There we go. Oh, I love growing pains. It's awesome. All right, so I'm going to throw this up here. I don't know if you guys have seen this. If you guys haven't seen this, this is something that many of you had talked about. We've talked about this in Stacking Surfer stream yesterday regarding Fort Knox and the gold audit. Well, a few hours ago, former Secretary of the Treasury and the current Secretary of the Treasury both said that they had done reviews of the gold inside Fort Knox, and both of them alleged that it is there. We totally expected this to happen, so I know that they're going to probably continue. Trump and um, Elon Musk are absolutely adamant about making sure they do this. But if you guys haven't seen this, this is just a few of them. Again, you can see these on various sources, social media sources, but you'll see the interviews there. So go check those out. Um, so, what do you think about this, Tiger? We had a really good conversation yesterday at Stacking Surfers about this. What were your takeaways from yesterday's conversation?
I have a few of them. The first of which is, are these the same people that told us that our inflation didn't exist and later was sticky? Um, if that's the case, I don't have any faith in what they say. The other component is I'm fully cognizant, and many of you are also, that we have obtained a lot of gold sent over from England. Why? Is that going to be of the same thing like what banks have done to pass their stress tests, where they have a bunch of cash put into the bank a little bit before the stress test, do the stress test, they pass it with flying colors, then that cash is removed to go to the next bank? Is that what's going on? I think that's a very good possibility. So if we do have it completely full as is, how do we know that it wasn't brought in and put in so that we pass that stress test? How do we audit that? And the question is there a record of ownership? I mean, you could count the physical items that are there, but who does it show a lineage of ownership? The other component is, and I heard this, I think from Lynette Zhang, I forget where I heard it from, where the pre-33 that was collected was never purified. They just converted it into 90% bars. So how do they know which one they're dealing with? So there's a lot of questions I have. What do you think?
I am going to put the link into Stacking Surfer's live stream yesterday. If you guys want to go check that out, please go check that out. I think there's a couple things going on here. Number one, as you stated, we have seen quite a bit of gold being moved. There was a interview done. I don't know if it was through Yankee or if it was done through Seeker. I think it was done Yankee, with the president of SD Bullion, where they talked about, they see a lot of these things and a lot of gold has been coming in. They've seen shipments directly to, um, the repositories. So are they preloading gold back into Fort Knox? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But I did say yesterday, thanks, Space Cowboy. Appreciate that. You said it was Yankee.
It was. It was.
Um,
I was being quiet so you could finish.
no, that's fine. But again, uh, I've said a long time, and the audit never having happened since 1974 is a little bit of a misnomer. I think that the audits have been done. There hasn't been transparency with that. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the amount of gold that they say they're supposed to have in there isn't there. That could be a potential problem. They don't want to reveal their hands, just like playing poker, right? You don't want to necessarily reveal the entirety of your hand. Um, a little bit of deception. We know this. It's cloak and dagger stuff, right? This is how governments work. They misinform. They give out good information. They give out bad information. Nobody knows who to trust, what to look at. This is standard operation for any world government. So, can we say that it is or it isn't? Not totally, but I don't believe at all that no audit of Fort Knox has been done since 1974. Absolutely believe that there's been audits. I just don't have any idea if we're going to see a true representation of what's there. I would like to believe that it's going to be there. But again, I don't know, right? I don't have a crystal ball. And as you frequently say, neither one of us have the omnipotence of God. So I don't know. Could a lot of these gold movements be buys to, trying to remember what Tim said the other day when they were talking about this. Um, could they be building their position, so to speak, right?
Hmm.
Or is this a cover to cover the gold that's supposed to be missing in Fort Knox? I don't know the answer to that. I'm really hopeful that there's going to be a public release, a public audit. But then again, I mean, you guys in chat, you guys have been watching this. You guys have your own personal thoughts. Chime in. What do you guys think is going to happen in this particular regard? Do you think we're going to see the reflection of a good audit? Or do you think that we're going to see uh, just kind of like what we've seen with the two former secretaries of the Treasury saying, hey, we've done this before, the gold is there. I'm not allowed to talk about it. It's national security issues. Um, what are your thoughts on that? So chime in, let us know. Amy with the $7 super chat says, did they say when Fort Knox will be checked? First off, Amy, thank you so much for the super chat. Greatly appreciate that. They didn't, and there's not a time frame on this. I'm sure there's a whole lot of security issues. What are your thoughts on that, Tiger? How quickly do you think they can get in?
I don't think it's going to be as long as it will be with other presidents, considering how uh, President Trump has attacked all the creatures in the swamp and how fast he's trying to drain the swamp. He has come in with balls to the walls even before he took his inauguration. He will not stop, and if he says he's going to do it, uh, no one can stop him with that. I think he has total control of Fort Knox as commander in chief, and that no one can overpower him on that subject. So
Yeah,
I think
I don't totally agree there. And the reason I say this is I firmly believe, and I don't know this because I've never, ever, ever been president. I've never, ever, ever, ever been Secretary of the Treasury. right? Like I don't know the positions of power that they have there. We understand general concepts of that, but are there things the president doesn't ever
I get
know
that.
about? Are there national security issues that are so tightly held that they are absolutely unequivocally forbidden to notify the government of these things? I don't know the answer to that. I'm sure there is, but I would be making an assertion if I said there absolutely is, because I just don't know. Um, but looking at some of the comments in here, AZ coins, the bottom line, the government hides a lot of shit from us. That's not your opinion, that's fact. Space Cowboy, if the government, um, it's the government, so they can do whatever they, so can whatever they say be trusted, given whatever agenda they may or may not have. That's absolute fact, right? So again, we see a lot of these things. Hey, being Becky, good day. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Bellows says that he believes it's going to go good. So, I mean, we're going to have mixed opinions on this. There's going to be differences of opinion. There's going to be differences of thought. There's going to be those that are the Occam razor type. What's up, MLZB? Good to see you, brother.
Hey,
There's
LSDP.
there's going to be the Occam razor type people. The easiest explanation is going to be the right one. And then there's going to be the conspiracy theorist people who it may be Occam's razor for them, but it may not be. It may be more complicated. And in many facets, usually these situations are. Um, I don't know. I'm really curious to find out. I think in a lot of the stuff that I do, Silver Spur, what's going on? Good to see you. I think in a lot of the situations that we're in, um, sometimes it's better we don't know. And I don't say that to be ignorant, but sometimes I don't need to know that stuff, right? What's the Oliver North um, famous quote? Plausible deniability,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Sometimes it's good if you don't know. So I think that there's going to be people in power who are in that realm of plausible deniability. I think there are people who have ultimately great intents, and then I believe there's all those that don't. Ultimately, what I'm concerned about, again, we talked about this on Surfers. The link's in chat. Please go check that out. I can put that back in here in a minute. But ultimately, my major concern is if it's not there, and I'm not saying there's no gold there, but if there's not the volume in which we hope there is, will they publicly release that? And if so, what's the outcome of that? How is that going to either hurt or crush our economy? So I'm losing you. What do you mean by I'm losing you?
I don't know about him, but I see good feeds coming from you.
Maybe it's the conversation, but yeah, again, so we'll see. I'm just not sure what's going to happen with it, but uh, well, you take it for yourself. Do you think that the messages that were done by the two former secretaries were reassuring?
No, I don't trust him. I don't trust anyone. I don't even trust Trump, but I have more faith in him I do others. The point is that if we don't have as much or anything in there, we're going to look like a bunch of liars. It's going to hurt our credibility in the world. Plus, as world reserve currency, it's going to hurt our status. The other thing is that if it's not there and Trump comes out and says everything's good, blah blah blah, then he's probably trying to protect us and protect our country. But will he do that, or is he going to be so honest and so focused on cleaning out the swamp that he's going to tell the truth, and we might have to deal with the ramifications of that truth if true? So, this is a very, very dangerous, slippery slope chess game. So,
I agree. I agree, and I think that again, as time moves on, they're going to continue to do these audits. I think let's go ahead and bounce into the audits. What are your thoughts on the government audits? What do you think of the some of the news and some of the information about? Uh, let's the Social Security one made me laugh. We have 4
Ain't,
million people that are over 150 years old.
ain't that something? Where's that money going?
So there's a lot that's going to be unveiled in this.
Can
Are
we
the
double
people?
my age and I can get a little extra help?
Well, yeah, again, but I think some of this stuff is it's we talked about when you talk about government, you have to point where you're talking because government's a huge entity. Whenever I talk about government, usually it's finances. It's trying to understand um, what's happening with the finances. And when you're talking about, billions and billions and billions in budget each year, um, it's hard to be uh, aware of what's happening all the time, right? So
True.
where there's not necessarily even the intent to be deceptive, but the more you deal with, the more opportunity is there. But yeah, AZ, how long has it been going on? It's been going on for years. We know this, right?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Ever since 1913, if you want my opinion, uh, because once that situation happened and they created the Fed, it just gave them a spending account. And so there's there's other things throughout history that have caused these things to occur, but it's interesting to see. So we wanted to bring some of the news to you, and yeah, a silver spurred 420. You're right, Tiger. Slippery slopes and a lot of language that the people will not understand. Legalese is a speak for a reason, right? It's for the few people because what's the adage about information, Tiger?
Say that one more time.
What is the adage about information? Information is power,
Oh yeah.
right?
I didn't know where you're going with
Yeah,
that, but
no
yeah.
worries. I didn't cue you in. That was my fault. Um, but again, it's important to understand. So those with the most information obviously are going to be able to pull the strings. So I think what's happening in the situation is we're trying to get in and really open up and have some transparency. Transparency in this situation is good. We definitely need that. So
Yeah, my concern is like I said, is the truth going to help us? Is the truth going to hurt us? Is he going to tell the truth even if it hurts us? There's a lot of after facts from each decision, but the point of the matter is that at least the head of our country should know what we have and don't have as a form of knowing how strong we are and where he's got to go. My one of my questions I'm asking is this money coming in from England because they're trying to get it out of their country, or is it, like I said, a way to pass a stress test in gold, or is it that they owe us so much that they're paying us back in gold? Which is fine if that's the case, but we need to know that that gold is new gold compared to what is already supposedly in Fort Knox. Account the spreadsheet has to match the physical data, just like I do at home. My spreadsheet, and you've seen me do it. My spreadsheet hopefully matches. Now, if it doesn't, it's because I made some human errors, not because of deception. We need to know where it comes from. How long has it been there? Who's owned it over the last few decades? You get my point?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And again, transparency is a good thing in this regard. All right. So Tiger, I'm going to do something. I'm going to give away a couple Stack-A-Lector stickers. So I want you guys to be putting stuff in chat. We'll be pulling that here in just a minute. But while we're doing that, why don't we go ahead and go ahead? Why don't we go ahead and go ahead? Why don't we go ahead and start working on our topic of the day? All right. So we know that we have a mix of stackers and collectors here. So hopefully this conversation is something that you both can get behind. The topic today is pre-33 gold. And I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about pre-33 from a numismatic standpoint. I give you some examples. If you guys have been watching the channel, you've seen some shorts come out. God, that's a beautiful piece. Um, you've seen some shorts come out talking about gold. The short that I released today was very specific to this conversation, and it was regarding a certain collection of pre-33 coins. They were the dollar coins. If you collect every mint mark and every um, if you collect every coin from every mint mark throughout all the years, the total value of the collection is $600,000. Hefty collection. However, if you get on the numismatic side of things and you collect all the varieties and the big errors, the value of that same collection now raises to $1.4 million. Crazy. So what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about not necessarily for the stacker buying pre-33 gold at the high prices, but understanding some of the things to look for to make sure that you don't lose money. If you happen to have some of these in your stack, or maybe a family, a grandfather, or an uncle, an aunt, or somebody of that nature has a stack, look through some of these. Look for some of the items. And I'll be giving you guys a couple resources. And then Tiger and I are going to talk a little bit about the differences between stacking, some of the things you can look for. And obviously, you can tell he's got a pretty hefty little gold load there. Mine is extremely small in retrospect. Um, but again, you see the collector piece here. Obviously, the flowing hair with privy. So I'm more the collector side, right? So, Tiger, why don't you talk about your stacking strategy and what your thoughts are on pre-33?
Well, I am in argument with myself about bullion versus pre-33. Will we get confiscated or not? That is part of my stacking strategy. Will we? Won't we? What's the likelihood? If you listen to Lynette Zhang, she's 100% convinced we're going to go through a physical overt confiscation. Um, but even during President Roosevelt's time, his confiscation was voluntary. They didn't go to people's homes. In fact, a lot of the pre-33 was shipped overseas and kept in vaults in Europe to try to keep it from confiscation, only to come back many, many, many years later. So I like the pre-33. Actually, to be honest with you, because I loved my grandfather so much, he carried, maybe he didn't carry the big ones at that time. Maybe he did. He was a coal miner. But he carried this stuff in his pocket. So having pre-33 is a connection to him. Plus, I honestly think they're prettier than current day bullion. You know, even though I do like the Eagles and I do like the Buffaloes, I prefer the pre-33 just from a pretty standpoint. I don't own any slabbed. Um, I'm toying with the idea. I'm still not sure that I want to do it, but I toy with it. But this, whether it's pre-33 or bullion or not government coins, but some other fun stuff that are rounds on the, and I've got a few bars too. This is my wealth preservation. This is what I'm going to use when we go through a hyperinflation. I'm going to use this and some of my silver to go ahead and cash out and make sure that I own my house outright and my cars outright. But I'm also going to use my silver mainly for bartering, for buying stuff that we need for the family. That's also part of the reason I stack heavier in silver, because let's call it what it is. We are not nations. We are not countries. We're people. We don't buy big things. We don't get things like, navies, airplane carriers, armies. We get food, shelter, uh, things to take care of our families. And usually you're going to have to deal with the silver to get the smaller things and barter and trade. I'm a firm believer in fractional. I got a lot of fractional gold, including goldbacks. I got a lot of fractional silver for the same reason. And when I have to in current day society, I lean heavily on 10-ounce silver bars. That is my go to when I have to sell. When I had the sepsis, silver was what I sold, not gold, because of the big volatility with very little climb of the low lows. However, with gold, it's climbing faster with very little volatility, and I won't be able to buy back what I sold for nearly the same price. Where in silver, I can buy back for for a gamble, but a better chance at buying back similar or exact what I had sold it for. So that's my current day philosophy on why I hit the silver instead of the gold. Plus, on top of it, I'm still praying that I can get my family out of Ukraine. We're having issues because of the war. If I get them here, that's maybe 4 mouths that I got to feed while they're getting established with our government, being allowed to get green cards and then later citizenship. So who's going to be responsible for it? Me. So I load heavily on fractional, so that if SHTF hits, I have a crap load of fractional so that they can go and buy clothes and food and whatever else they need until they can stand on their own 2 feet. So that's a lot, not all, but that's a lot of my approach to and strategy to how and why I stack. How about you?
Well, I stack and collect for a couple reasons. One, you and I have talked about this a lot. I will
Hmm.
spend money regardless, right? So it's better for me to spend money on money, right? So that
True. And you
if
can reclaim it later.
yeah, you can reclaim it. It's not lost. It's not like when I used to play video games and would spend, a couple $100 a month trying to up my characters. That money was being, blown into the wind. Nothing to show for it. And when I finally woke up and realized how stupid that was, um, I was like, I'm wasting money. I'm hemorrhaging money, and I can't be doing that. It's not smart for my family. It doesn't set me up for the future. So I collect because I enjoy the numismatic. I enjoy the history. Obviously, you guys are in the chat, you know that. But I stack for that counter, right? Don't put your eggs in
Hmm.
one basket. Make sure you're diversified. Look at different methods of securing your wealth and doing stuff like that. I personally like pre 33. Now, if you look at the coins up top, I have some collectible pieces that are obviously, you guys know I have ships, right? That one came from Tiger. I got this one in Tulsa. I bought that one from Paula Bloom and snagged it out from underneath Chief Stacker. Um, but I do 10th ounce or quarter ounce because one, that's all I can afford, right? So this is my
Hmm.
ability. I don't like stacking 10th ounce, and if I could hold the money, I would buy quarter because of the variation in uh, the amount of premium you're paying, right? You pay so much premium when you're buying the gram or the 2.5 gram or the 5 gram versus the quarter, right? If you're paying a quarter or more, at less premium. So the bigger you can get, the less premium there is. So it makes sense to do it that way. Now I do pre 33, not just because I'm a collector, but because if you look at the Yeah, Robert Pintoff lost all of his gold in an unfortunate smelting accident. Um, uh, if you look at most of my stuff, I keep pre-33 primarily because when you look at the history of 6102, which is that executive order, the one thing that was safe was numismatic.
True.
Will that happen again? I don't know, but you know what? History has a tendency of repeating itself. So I'm going to err on the side of caution and I'm going to lean towards that and see what happens. Um, do I know for certain? No, I don't. But that's the avenue that I've taken. Now you can look up there and you'll see some ASEs. Um, you'll see a kangaroo. I've got Indian heads. So again, do I just do pre-33? No. I do what is a good deal at the time. If I have the money, then I buy what I can. But if I had the opportunity, I would buy pre-33. Now, I also buy pre-33, and this is something that I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but NGC has a really cool site for errors and varieties. And I'm going to be sharing this with you. Um, I'm going to put this in chat, but I'm also going to put this in the description when we're done with today. If you like pre-33 gold, bookmark this page. Why is that? Well, because there's certain coins, and I have one right here, that is a princess, and I'm sorry that the way the camera's setting up. This is a princess, okay?
Hmm.
And this is 1881. And the cool thing about this particular coin is it happens to be a variety. Now, that particular variety is a type, or sorry, is that a 51 or 54? I'm sorry. Um, when you look at this particular one, this is a type 2. Now, why is that important? Because in 51 or 54, excuse me, there was a type 1 and a type 2 coin. So in this regard, the lower mintage carries the higher value. And if you look at the differences between these, there's a $200 to $300 difference between the type 1 and the type 2s. So when you're going through these, it's important to understand this. So if you like pre-33, I highly, highly, highly recommend you bookmarking this page and going through and looking through them. Identify what, and again, we're only looking at the $1 coins. I'm not looking at the $3. I'm not looking at the quarter eagles, the half eagles, the eagles, or the double eagles. I'm just looking at the dollar coins. The entire set of these, if you were able to get every one of these, is $600,000. But if you take every one of these with the variety, it's 1.4 million. So it's important to look at some of these items. It's important to look at the varieties that are on there because you may not even know what's happening in your stack or in your grandparents' stack or your parents' stack or your great grandfather's stack or whatever it is. They may have these old coins, but if you don't look at them and you only trade them in for your gold value, the amount of potential loss can be huge. So what I want to do is I'm not trying to talk people into buying pre-33. I'm saying it's a good idea from my end. It's what I like to do. There are other people who say that it's a good idea as well. You just interviewed one of those, Tiger, correct?
You're talking about Lynette?
I am.
Yeah. She she solely believes in it. Now she does buy non-slab pre-33, and she says she uses that for what she has to use it for, such as paying taxes. But the slabs are going to be kept in reserve for the other side, and the non-slab she's going to try to keep those in reserve for the other side. Um, I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around paying that much more money for slabbed. The other thing that you'd mentioned was people don't know what they got, and there was a story that it's not my story. It was actually Lynette's, where she was contacted by someone who didn't have uh, any money at all. The whole family was devastatedly poor for a very very long time, and basically. Um, what happened was that person talked to Lynette, and they took the coins to a reputable place that Lynette told them to send it to, and subsequently, uh, one of them came back making buku dollars. So this family went from years of being used to being impoverished to being millionaires because every one of them was something that the coin graders were willing to buy to put out there for the people who wanted to buy them. So, you don't know. You have absolutely no clue. I learned a lot from you. Would I put myself in your ability to do numismatic whatever? No. I'm smarter now because of our friendship, and I know a little bit more what to do because of our friendship. But I am very hesitant about trusting someone telling me what something's worth unless that they've earned my trust from a long time in the past. I wouldn't do that with just anyone. And I don't recommend a lot of people out there either because you could take that in to a well, let me get pre-33. Um, you could take that in and they say, oh, it's just, worth spot, whatever, or maybe they'll give you a little bit more. Then they'll turn it in and make buku dollars on it. And they just basically swindled you out of what you had. It's kind of like, people taking money out of your bank and you never find out about it until years later, if you
Well,
find out.
yeah, and I've said this a bunch of times. One of the most important things you can do as a stacker or a collector is to have a network of people that comes alongside of you. one of
And
my
there,
one of
and
my
therefore,
favorite people. Go ahead, Tiger.
and therefore, the reason for this website, this
This
collaboration,
collaboration, absolutely.
this is the foundation for Stack-A-Lectors existing because a lot of people will get taken advantage of. And even if you know a little bit of numismatic and a little bit of collecting, and you know where to go, and you have a buddy who knows more about the numismatic side, you can potentially get the best bang for your buck. This was the major number one reason for Stack-A-Lectors.
Yep, exactly. And again, so I'm going to show you guys something. So I'll pull this coin over here. This is the 1854 $1 gold coin. This is the Type 2. This is the one that I was talking about. Now, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit so that you can see this a little bit clearly. For those of you who are out there, and Paula, you probably can look at this and see what's going on. This coin has something really cool on it. In fact, it has something really cool twice. Now, this is actually listed on the NGC website. It is a known element there. And so what is cool about this?
I don't know. Looks like a girl I used to date. I didn't like her too much because she thought she was such a princess.
Well, I'm not talking about. There you go. Paula said it. There's an amazing clash on this coin. So if you
Okay.
see here, you see this outline that comes all through here, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a clash. Now, what are you actually seeing there? Well, you're actually seeing the other side of this,
The other side of what?
the other side of the dollar. So if you look in here,
Oh.
now you can actually see upside down, you can see her head. So this is a die clash, and this is actually an extremely cool item to find on a coin like this. It's a really neat variety. You can see now the doubling in this one isn't a double die; it's actually die wear. Um, and so this is just showing that the die is struck quite a few coins. But you can see the kind of the bounce that happened when that clash occurred. So you can see doubling along that clash. If I bring that open over here again, you can see that down here across the bottom here, and then you can see
Hmm.
that a little bit here. This is a really cool thing. And here you see the back of, I believe it's the 4. I think that's the end of the 4 there. But so you have this amazing clash inside this, and there is something that a lot of collectors would really, really like to have. And so not only do you have a coin that's the Type 2, you have a Type 1, Type 2 in this particular year, but you also have a really neat coin that collectors will be more interested in because it has a clash on it. There's something through there. So the link that I provided you again, it's going to be in the description below for both the vertical and landscape streams. So no matter where you're watching this, I'll make sure that these links are posted there for you to review it. It's important that you have the opportunity to look at these things. So again, as a collector, I'm not telling you to go buy these. If you're a stacker, I'm not saying go out and buy $1,000 1.67 gram coin. I'm not telling you to do that. What I am telling you to do is I am telling you to look at your 1.67 gram $1 coins from 1854 to see if they happen to be a Type 1 or Type 2, and if they're in really good condition or they happen to have this clash, get with a trusted source and find out what its value is. Because you may, I'll give you a kind of an overview of this particular coin. I did a video on this. This coin in uh, I think its XF condition is a $400, $300 coin, somewhere in that area. But in MS67, which is one of the top pops for this particular coin, this is a $2,500 coin. And if you had a really nice variety, let's say it's even 64, and you're looking at $1,300. 1.67 grams. Okay, all you stackers, come on, quick math. 1.67 grams is how much money in weight gold? Definitely not 1,200 bucks.
Not much. Not much.
Okay, so we're looking at maybe $200 in weight. But for the numismatic value, and because this has an extremely cool clash, you're looking at mass money. So I'm not telling you to go buy it. I'm telling you if you have the opportunity and you
$155
find
to
good
pay.
prices on it, consider it. But I want you to be informed and have the information at your fingertips so that if this stuff presents itself, you don't lose money. Because people like me are going to be looking for this stuff. And if you don't know and you're a coin shop, sorry, due diligence, you should know this. Now, if Tiger sent me a tube of these, and I say that in jest, but I say that seriously, because we've done this with peace dollars, we've done this with dimes, sent them back and forth. I'll look over them, look at varieties, look for errors, and report back to him. We do streams, we talk about it, we record it, and then we present it for everybody to see. If he was to send me these and I found something like this is one half a tube. If this came back, let's say 62, this is one half a tube of these in value. So if he was just to sell it to me for this particular gold weight, how much money would you lose? So our job, our Stack-A-Lectors, the whole intent, the whole purpose behind Stack-A-Lector isn't to get you to think like a numismatist. If you're a collector and you like that stuff, it's not to get you to think like a stacker. What it is to give you both sides of the equation and help give you the information so that you can make better informed decisions. That's what this program is about, and that's why we're here.
That is exactly right.
So, Tiger, let's go ahead and wrap things up. All right, folks. Well, I have absolutely enjoyed doing this. I want, um, Paul, I would have to look at the number. I'm not quite sure. I just closed the thing, but um, Yeah, in that price, I can pull those up. I don't actually have that one. No, that is not the 101. That is that is the double die burst type 2. That's not the same one. Um, but if you enjoyed this, I want you to do me a favor. If you're watching this for the first time, there are two channels here: Frostbyte Coins and Tiger Stacker. Go sub up these two channels. Every other week, we're going to be going back and forth, and we're going to be doing a different episode on my channel and the different episode on his. You're going to see this same thumbnail every time because we want to give you guys the opportunity to see it and know what's coming out. As we do our videos and as we do live streams, like I do live streams every weekend, when we do these, we'll talk about what's coming up. We'll create a topic. We'll let you guys know what's happening. But make sure you subscribe to both of these channels so that you can have this information. Again, we don't charge for it. Really, what we want from you is to give you the tools to be better prepared. Tiger, what's your job? What's your premise as a stacker? What is your premise as a prepper? What's your whole focus there?
Survival through what's coming, basically. Whether you're talking about the food, water, shelter, finances, um, is to get as prepared as possible. Whether you got the fact I've got 2.5 to 3 years worth of food for my wife and myself. I've got plans to collect water because I can't seem to find someone to dig me a well. Whether you're talking about the fact that I'm looking into getting solar on top of my Generac generator in case things go kaplooey. Whether you're talking about this stuff, it's all about making sure that we don't suffer and or perish through an SHTF. That's my biggest reason, and behind that big reason is one of the number one reasons we all should exist: our families. We should be here for our families and our friends, and that's why we stack, and that's why we also should have our community. If without the community, we're all going to be easy pickings. With the community, we're going to be less likely to have a pickings against us. So those are my reasons for stacking. The learning about things so I don't lose money on a trade is very important also. But the number one reason is to make sure that the family is going to survive.
Yeah,
That's
and see, that's the whole premise of this, right? So I want to make sure, and folks, you guys know this. I don't conduct auctions. If I'm going to sell something, it's going to be one-on-one because I'm working on upgrading a coin in my book or something of that nature. I have no financial gain from trying to sell you something because I don't do it. What I want to do, and what Paul is in chat. You guys know, you watch my channel. You guys know that she's here all the time. If you guys watch Live Coin Q&A, you know they are constantly doing this stuff. Coin Show podcast, Copper Coins. You see all these channels that come together to really do one thing, and that is to give you the information to allow you not only to have as much money as you can in your coins, to recognize and realize your value, but to also understand what you're going to do and how you're going to do it should something happens. Because I don't want you selling something. Now, granted, I talk about the 1996. We'll do that another time with the tube of Silver Eagles 1996. We're talking with a stacker buddy of mine. He said it didn't matter, not realizing it was a key date coin. Um, but I don't want you guys selling something for way, way, way less than it is. Because ultimately, this is about protecting our community. And the way we grow is by being a village. And so we want to provide you the best information we can. We're going to bring you some antics. We're going to crack jokes. We're going to do stuff, but we're going to try and provide really good, solid intel. We're going to try and bring up experts in the fields from time to time. Ashes, what's up, brother? Good to see you. and we want to make sure that we share the best information we can. So again, in order to be aware of when those happen, make sure you're hitting that subscribe. Make sure you're smacking that notification bell so you get notifications when these things come out. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate you, bud. But that's somebody else I need to do a stream with. Another Canadian brother from Northern Mother. All right. Well, any words of wisdom from Tiger before we wrap this up?
Well, a lot of it's been said, but I'll reiterate as fast as I can. You have to protect the family. You have to survive yourself. So, by all means, get everything you need, do the best you can with what you've got. Make the community, make the friends. If you can make a local community, that's even better. Stick together. Don't take advantage of each other and ruin the community. Help each other out to make sure everybody is able to take care of their families. And above all else, and you don't have to share my opinion, above all else, there's one most important thing to Stack, something I work on every day, and I still have a long way to go for perfection. The one is prepare yourself for your soul to be stacked. Because when our time comes, and we're no longer on this earth, God will stack us. What he does with us is his decision. And I have a long way to go to perfection. So with that on there, I want to wish everyone a good night and thank you for coming. Please subscribe to Frostbyte. Please subscribe to Tiger Stacker. And it's your turn.
Don't forget about Dog World and Bifrost Artworks.
Oh,
Those are
that's true.
A couple other important channels for people that we absolutely adore. I'm going to plug a couple other channels again. We mentioned Live Coin Q&A. We mentioned Yankee Stacking, Salivate Metal, a couple awesome channels of people, absolutely good hearts who really have a desire to grow community. Again, why do we call other channels out? Because again, we can't do this by ourselves. There's no way that we have the tools and the resources to understand all of this stuff. So we have to come together. We have to pull our information. So it's good that we have people that we can trust and depend on. Again, if you're looking for things like agents and stuff like that, go check out Aaron Burke and go check out the Coin Show podcast. Another set of amazing group of people. And then you guys know how I feel about Chuck and Eric over there. Amazing people. All right, folks. Well, hey, I want you guys to have a wonderful night. And before I leave, I'm going to do one thing. I want to know if any of you heard about the chickpea that was crushed on the table. Tiger, did you hear about that?
No, before you tell us about that, can someone in one of the moderators please put in Bifrost link? I just put in Dog World, so if you can't put in Bifrost link, and please subscribe to both.
Appreciate
and go to both. They're really good. Bifrost is an amazing artist and getting better all the time. Dog World is an amazing trainer, breeder, and you will learn a lot from her. So these are young channels that need your support, and you will also get something in return. So, oh, thanks, Frosty. I was looking for that, but I can find the wife's one so much quicker because I have a link to it.
We'll bring her on and have her do some custom work.
That'd be awesome.
Do some giveaways and stuff. So we'll definitely do that. Please go over and support her. She had to start a new channel due to some issues, so she's really working hard to try her subscribers up. So that would be great. Anyway, let's get back to the chickpea because time is running out.
Okay. Yes.
So there was a chickpea that was crushed on the table, and police came and they were looking at it and they were trying to identify if this was just a random item. And the guy says, "No, I believe this is a homicide."
Oh.
I love that joke. I saw that one today.
It was going to be a punchline, but I had no clue where it was going to come from.
Yes, the infamous homicide. All right, folks. Well, hey, be well, be blessed. Take care of yourselves. Do everything you can to support your fellow neighbor. And again, through adversity, through friendship is how we grow. And so I'm going to throw a witticism in there. Make sure you go check that channel out. I hope you all have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for coming and celebrating episode 2 of the Stack-A-Lectors. Love you. Be well. God bless. Have a good night. And we will see you